A few days ago, News24 launched a new feature to debunk fake news. News24 belongs to Media24, which is owned by Naspers, which is owned by a South African billionaire. Now, honestly, I'm puzzled why they would decide to attack their own publications. Debunking fake news? Well, that is News24. Now, the site comes after an 11 February 2025 op-ed. In an op-ed that actually appears in the opinion section of News24, which is unusual, George Claassen, News24's public editor and a board member of the Organization for News Ombuds and Standards Editors, ran a disturbingly dishonest opinion piece recently, bemoaning disinformation. An infodemic of lies, misinformation, distortion, and deliberate coordinated avoidance of facts. Sounds like News24. In the midst of social media and tech barons like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and others kneeling at the feet of an immoral, vindictive occupant of the Oval Office, raising the white flag of their independence, the challenges facing journalists to adhere to ethical, reliable, trustworthy, accurate, and fair journalism have never been more daunting. Folks, if this is the quality of editors at News24, and more disturbingly, folks at the News Ombudsman and Standards Editors, no wonder journalism is in such dire state in South Africa. While he is certainly entitled to his opinions, especially in an op-ed piece, the deeply one-sided and venomous tone of his article should trouble anyone paying attention. And he continues, the dire need for News24 and our stable mate, Netwerk24, to inform and educate their readers accurately and fairly about the facts in the public sphere is clearly reflected in many of the misinformed and blatantly inaccurate views expressed by some of our readers in their comments below many of our reports. The recent uninformed, misleading attack by the United States President on South Africa and the chorus of readers supporting him, despite the facts, emphasize how difficult but also important the future role of reliable journalism will be in the decades to come. Mr. Claassen and News24 do not understand their role, folks. Their purpose as a business is to turn a profit and return value to shareholders, employees, and stakeholders. As members of the Fourth Estate, it's their job to accurately and honestly report the news, to hold government accountable, and to inform the public. It's not their role to decide who is right and who is wrong. That belongs on their opinion page, not on news pages. It is also not their role to educate anyone. We have schools and universities for that. Inform? Sure. But educate? News24 feels the need to insult its readers, the very people paying its freight, so that it can pretend to occupy the high moral ground. Now, somehow, this strikes me as a losing proposition for a company and business to make a profit. Or is that their primary objective? Is News24 and Network24 in business to turn a profit, or are they simply the media wing of the ruling party? At times you have to wonder. News24's coverage of Donald Trump has been anything but ethical, reliable, trustworthy, accurate, or fair journalism. Network24 breathlessly reports innuendo, rumor, and intentionally misleading stories almost daily on Donald Trump. They consistently mask their opinions on news pages, not on their op-ed section. If you can find a positive news story from News24 about Donald Trump, please report it to the press ombudsman. Such a unicorn-like occurrence deserves attention. A random selection of recent news articles on the Network24 sites reveals nothing positive about Trump whatsoever, and plenty of opinion disguised as news. We'll take one, for example. On the 17th of February on News24, this was the title, Outgrowth of a Nostalgic Patriarchy. Team Trump leans into masculine attitude to government. The Trump administration has even imposed a male-centric stamp on some government acronyms. A warning system for pilots known as NOTAM, for Notice to Air Missions, has been changed officially to Notice to Airmen. Now, folks, honest journalists would share that it was always airmen from the inception of the acronym. The history of NOTAMs, Notice to Airmen, began in 1947 when air traffic operations started using them to share abnormal information about airspace. NOTAMs were originally modeled after the Notice to Mariners, which advised ship captains of hazards at sea. It was only in 2021 that the Federal Aviation Administration changed the name of NOTAMs from Notice to Airmen to Notices to Air Missions. Now, there's a method to all this maleness, experts say, or so says News24. The emphasis on a rigid gender binary is an outgrowth of a nostalgic patriarchy that wants to return to a mid-20th century understanding of gender relations, with white, heterosexual men at the pinnacle of the hierarchical identity pyramid, says Karen Anderson, a communications professor at Colorado State University. Folks, that is a cherry-picked source who inflames the situation with her opinion. Her opinion. And because she's a leftist professor at university, her opinion carries weight in the view of the editors at News24. Now, News24 is welcome to share her opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. But they owe their readers a counterpoint from the other side, which, of course, they do not share. So there you see An objective journalist would have told you that a NOTAM was the term from its very inception in 1947 until the Biden regime changed it in 2021 to suit their gender desires. But it gets worse than that. They cherry pick a source that fits their worldview to push their narrative in what is supposed to be a news article and then don't offer a counterpoint. They don't even try. But here's where News24's editors prove to be useless, either allowing or promoting the next line in the article. And this is what's written by the author. Trump, of course, is at the heart of the movement. Now, of course, there is no such movement, and Trump has nothing to do with this BS that the author is pushing. This should never have been on their website. The article is anonymous. There's no attribution whatsoever. We don't know who the author is, just a convenient attribution to the AFP, the Agence France Presse, the French press agency. No name. How can you trust a news article that's really just opinion that's splashed all over the news page and there's no attribution? The only publication I know that doesn't give attribution to authors is The Economist, and it does it for a good reason, which I won't get into here. But the interesting thing about this article is that there are 4 photographs in the article, and they do give attribution to the 4 photos they used in the article, but not to the propaganda that News24 is trying to pass off as news. So I'll stop here. I'm not going to expose News24's hypocrisy. It would be a full-time job. But the next time you hear someone say, this person said this or that organization said that, be sure you verify what that person or organization actually said, verbatim. Don't take the propagandist's word for it. And what comes to mind here is the lies of the media saying that AfriForum and Solidarity said they're not going anywhere and no Afrikaners would take up the refugee offer, which is pure nonsense. People didn't watch the press conference. The press conference, which was covered by these media outlets, reported that, which is a lie. I watched the entire press conference, 52 minutes. They never once said that. It was in English. I didn't misunderstand. They never said that. They said that they're there for their members in Southern Africa and they're there to support them. And they're going to stay there to continue doing their job. And frankly, as long as there's 10 Afrikaners in South Africa, they have a responsibility to their members to be there and help them survive and excel in the southern tip of Africa. So next time you hear someone say so-and-so said something in News24 and all the other media outlets in South Africa, ask yourself, is it really the case? Maybe I should go see what they said. Let's see the transcript. Think for yourself. Don't let propagandists think for you, especially when they disguise themselves as debunking fake news, when they're just pushing fake news. Opinion pushed as news. And that's the bottom line. It's opinion pushed as news. Now you might be saying, Chris, you're a hypocrite. Sounds like your opinion. Well, you damn skippy, it's my opinion. This is an opinion program. This is an analysis program. I have to put my opinion there. But there's a difference. Unlike News24, I'm objective. I didn't cherry pick and leave out the leftist radical feminist comments from Colorado State University. I included her comments. Now, I rubbished them because they are pure rubbish, but I included them. And I included the other side. That's objectivity, something wholly absent in this news story from News24. What say you, South Africa? And the world, for that matter. What's the rest of the world got to say? New York Times, Washington Post, Chicago Sun-Tribune, Atlanta Constitution-Journal, LA Times. A bunch more media sites that share news that's really just propaganda. Put it on your opinion pages and keep it there. Cheers.